Hey, friends. Hope you're ready to have some fun today here on Private Club Radio Live. We've got two awesome guests joining us. We'll be speaking first with Henry Wallmeyer of the National Club Association, talk about the upcoming national conference, the National Club Conference that's going to be held in Ocean Reef here. It's going to be the first live conference back from all of this. So really excited for that one. I bet you are too. We're also going to be speaking with Mr. Don Hunter, the General Manager and COO of the Country Club of North Carolina. We're going to talk about a pretty exciting renovation project that Don and his team went through, and we're going to learn all about the lessons he learned from going through that. I want to thank our sponsors of Private Club Radio. Big thanks to Restream.io, who is the sponsor of PCR and kind of what got us to go live. I love the platform. This is the platform I use so we can have interaction with guests. So if at any time during this broadcast you've got a question, pop it in the chat, whatever platform you're using, and we'll be able to ask that question live. Just absolutely love the platform. We get to go live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube each and every week thanks to Restream.io. If you want to check out what they're doing, and you can actually download the software and start using it absolutely free. You can hook up a couple of your social networks and get your club active and involved. Head on over to privateclubradio.com/restream. Also, big thanks to Concert Golf Partners who provide capital solutions for clubs all over the country. Peter Nanula and his team are fantastic. I think they're 22 clubs strong right now across the country. So if you're interested in learning more, check out concertgolfpartners.com. Also, a shout out to Capstone Hospitality. Brian Friedrichs and his team really perfect the sales and marketing at private clubs around the country. Check them out at capstone-hospitality.com. Couple of other just quick announcements. What's going on around me? You might see this little ticker behind me. We finally reached 4,000 subscribers on YouTube, which is another big milestone for us. But the bigger milestone is the Let's Play Through show just crossed over 100,000 monthly downloads. So each and every month, we're up to at least 100,000 people now watching the show, which is like humbling. It's crazy. YouTube is just such an interesting platform and how it can start kind of small and then just exponentially hockey stick curve up. So if you haven't checked out that show, the Let's Play Through show, highly recommend it. I'm doing lots of golf club reviews. So if your members are interested in all the latest golf club and golf tech for 2021, I've got my driver reviews, fairway reviews, all sorts of things going on over there. So you just go over to letsplaythrough.com and you'll get links to all the videos as well. All right, without further ado, we're going to bring on our first guest, Mr. Henry Wallmeyer of the National Club Association. Henry, the question that's on everyone's mind right now, the big question, I think, in Washington, D.C. is, how is Villanova basketball doing?
That is the great question that everybody's wondering. Unfortunately, we were doing much better 2 weeks ago before we had a couple injuries that have affected the team tremendously. So I don't know how well we're going to be doing in the Big East tournament that starts tomorrow, or in the NCAA, but hey, we'll fight and we'll see what happens. You never know. But thank you for that. I appreciate
it. You guys are high on the hog. You've had a good run. A couple national championships last decade, right?
It was 2016 and 2018, and I would jokingly tell people that now I know what it's like to be an Alabama football fan. I'm used to winning the national championship every year, so that's good. So hopefully we'll get back there. But thank you for that, obliging me in my passion for Villanova basketball. I appreciate that.
Indeed, sir. Well, let's talk about what we really came here to talk about, which is the National Club Conference. It's going to be the first conference back really in a live environment. So give us a little preview of what's in store for folks who are going to attend, Henry.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, even before that, I want to congratulate you on the milestones that you just hit. That's outstanding for both of those. Congratulations on this work and starting it and then getting to this point, because I know that's always the toughest thing, is to start something when you don't have any idea of how it's going to turn out. And,
right.
That's sort of, what we did with our conference this year. We were supposed to be at Ocean Reef Club down in Key Largo, Florida last year. It's an amazing club. Second ranked platinum country club in the country. And we're very excited to take people there because a lot of people have heard about it. They've heard, tremendous things, but they've never seen it. And they wanted to have this chance to be able to do that. And so we were very excited, looking forward to selling out at 250 people last year. Obviously, COVID hit, so we had to postpone. We looked at the fall. We said, no, let's, move it to the spring of this year. It looks like everything is going to be working out well for us. We are scheduled for May 23rd through the 25th. So it's at the end of May, so still, just a little less than 3 months. And we're just excited to get folks together, because I think that's the biggest thing that we're hearing from our members, is, they want to attend because they want to, travel. It's been so long since they've traveled, and they want to see their colleagues, and they want to network with their friends. And so that's why we're excited to be able to bring this to them. It's been, a lot of hard work on the staff's part here, make sure everything is, in place it needs to be. But we're excited about being able to have this live conference for people.
I bet it's been a ton of work. I can't imagine what's going on behind the scenes there. Let's talk about some of the speakers you've got. You always have a really interesting lineup. So what's the cast of characters going to be this year, Henry?
Yeah, and this year, no doubt, basically thankfully, most of the folks who were scheduled for last year are signed up for this year, and then we were actually able to bring on a couple new ones who couldn't do it last year, who wanted to, that are doing it this year. But right now, committed, we've got Mick Mulvaney, who is a former White House Chief of Staff, former Congressman, former Director of Office of Management and Budget. And so this obviously ties very nicely into our pillar of advocacy, being a lobbying organization here in DC. But the great thing about Mr. Mulvaney is not only does he have all this experience working in Washington, DC, and be able to tell us what's, how DC really works and the inner workings of the White House, and especially the Trump White House, but he was president of Carmel Country Club in Charlotte, North Carolina. So he is very in tune to Washington, D.C., as well as the private club world. And just some other folks that we've got, Curtis DeBay, who is the chief economist for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. And we had him scheduled for last year because the economy was going so great. We were thinking, okay, well, what do people need to do in case, the economy turns? Little did we know that would happen last year. He's done a bunch of webinars for us about the economy. He kept us informed about what, he thinks is going on. So he'll be able to talk to us about, where we are 1 year out from COVID and what that looks like. And then some other great folks such as Steve Tengeris.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I'm excited for that one.
We appreciate that. And he, he's going to talk about technology and how clubs can use technology to better their operations and what they need to do. And so, and some others, and then also have invited 2 representatives to speak. And so we're waiting on their schedules. So again, to have that, that DC flair, but then also to be able to really talk about, what's going on, in the world in terms of club world, and then in terms of the economic world and what clubs need to do to prepare.
That's beautiful. Talking about preparing, I mean, you guys have really been at the forefront of leading the charge in terms of providing information to this industry, what's going on with COVID. What are you guys continuing to do over there at the NCA, Henry?
Well, we've got, and it's funny, we're getting ready to come up on the 1 year anniversary. March 16th was the first day that we had a webinar in what we call our coronavirus town hall. And, we had nearly 2,000 people on that webinar, blew us away with that. And so then we just had a whole bunch of, successful webinars, all throughout the month, basically through the month of June. And so we're revisiting that. We're coming back up on March 16th. We're having a webinar. We're bringing back the same 6 presenters that presented last year, so they can look at what, did we get right, wrong, and then also more importantly, where are we going from here? And we continue to put out our COVID-19 updates every other Wednesday. We continue to update our COVID website, encourage people still to go to that, while things, are better, as we look at, the news in terms of the number of vaccines that are out there, and President Biden saying hopefully, everybody, has the ability to be vaccinated by, the end of May. But there's still a lot of things that are going on that clubs need to be aware of. And so we've got all that information on there. And so we encourage folks to continue to be aware of what's going on, and, not get too locked into, okay, it's springtime, it's feeling good out there, and, numbers are going down. There's still a lot that can be done to make sure the club stays safe and keeps its members safe. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, you guys are going to be doing a webinar coming up at the end of the month. That'll be a great preview sort of what's in store for the National Club Conference as well. You're going to give some updates maybe on what's happening with PPP and that sort of thing in the end of March here?
Yep, absolutely. Into March, we're going to have a government relations webinar. Joe Trauger is going to be on it, as well as Rob Smith, who's our chair of our government relations committee, who was your guest previously. So they're going to talk about, what is this bill that is probably going to be signed by the president within the next week or so. What does that include for clubs? Things such as PPP. There's restaurant relief in there. There's the extension of the employee retention tax credit. So we'll go through all of those things. What does it mean for clubs? And then also, what is that next bill that's coming down the pike going to potentially mean for clubs? Because here in DC, they're not afraid to spend money, and 1.9 trillion is not enough. So they're looking to do potentially a couple of billion in terms of some type of infrastructure plan, something like that. So, hey, when it's other people's money, they're happy to spend.
Right. So you think there's another bill coming down the pike after this one, even?
We do. And a lot of it's, and Rob Smith talks about this, is after 9/11, everything, a lot of the bills that were introduced, all sort of dealt back to 9/11. And this will sort of be the same. Okay, how does this deal back to COVID? Wow. And use that as an opportunity to pass things. I mean, we absolutely do need infrastructure, plans and repairs and money in this country. It's just going to be interesting to see, what the bill is and what it does. But there's going to be no shortage.
Money is worth something in the next couple of years. The way we're proceeding to print it, it's kind of scary. At any rate, it's just so fantastic what the NCAA does. Really moving those issues along, going to bat for clubs. I know it's been a struggle even to get some allowances for clubs into these bills and whatnot. And we just appreciate what you guys are doing there at the National Club Association. You're our industry, and you're our organization in this industry that's making those things known to the people and the powers that be there. So we appreciate what you're doing. If folks want to get a hold of, well, let's do this. The National Club Conference. How do they find out about that one, Henry? And how do they get signed up for all your emails and things you've got going on?
Yeah, actually, a couple easy ways. You can either go straight to our website, which is nationalclub.org, or you can go to nationalclubconference.org, which takes you straight to the conference website. And both places on there have places where you can sign up to receive our information. You can sign up for conference, sign up for membership if you're not a member, so that you do have access to all of our information, including our government relations information. And go to that nationalclubconference.org, and then you'll also be able to see the rest of the speakers that we have, but then all the activities. And again, that's what makes having our conference at Ocean Reef Club so amazing, is that we'll be having a VIP reception and dinner at the Key Largo Anglers Club, which is right next door to Ocean Reef Club. Beautiful facility. It's on the west side of Key Largo, so we're gonna be watching the sunsets. So you'll be one of those special Florida Keys sunsets, for our reception and dinner. And they just remodeled their clubhouse. There's actually an article about it in our current issue of Club Director Magazine. So that's going to be amazing. We're going to be having a golf tournament there. People will be able to do a fishing tournament if they want to. There's scuba diving, there's kayaking, there's pickleball. And if they don't want to do any of that, then they can just lay up by the beach or they can lay up by the pool. But there'll be plenty to do and to be able to experience all of Ocean Reef Club, as well as Key Largo Anglers Club next door.
I'm sure there'll be a few margaritas flowing. Henry, I appreciate it. Nationalclub.org is the get registered, learn more about that, and get in touch with NCA and what they're doing. Get on their email lists, join their newsletters. They are a fantastic resource for this industry. Henry, appreciate your time as always, sir.
Great. Thanks so much, Gabe. Keep up the great work. Congratulations.
Thanks, man. Have a good day. All right, that was a lot of fun. Now it's time to bring up our featured guest of the day, Mr. Don Hunter of the Country Club of North Carolina. Don, welcome to Private Club Radio Live, sir.
Well, thanks so much for having me. It's an honor to be on today.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got some folks joining us from places like China. Alan Jacobs just gave us a hello from China. We've got folks interested in what you've got to say from all over the world here. So let's talk about what you guys have been doing there, Don, and talk about this renovation project and how that all got started, sir.
Well, it's been 3 years in the making. Our renovation of the restaurant portion of our plan is a $3.5 million uplift of our restaurant facilities. That's all front of the house project. What was important to our members was that it not look like a Marriott, that it looked like something specific to our region. And in North Carolina, we've got a lot of potters that build beautiful vessels. We've got a lot of fine artists that have made this their home, and our members really wanted us to focus on that.
That's cool. So you actually went into the community to find unique artisans and people doing interesting things, and sort of use those in this renovation project. How did it go? And talk to us about the community that you formed in order to create this renovation project.
So what was critical was it was a small committee. So I had a 5-member committee. I think that's important. Most of them knew a lot of the artists in the area, or had some knowledge of the artists in the area. Another critical part is to make sure that your decorator and architect are involved in this process and really are the first phase of jurying the art, so to speak, so that each artist submits their body of work. The committee looks at the body of the work, but in our case, we had chambers to make sure that you have somebody to eliminate what won't fit into the spaces, and that also, for you club managers out there, that gives you a little cover. You know, when somebody's daughter is the best artist in the world, you know, you can avoid that.
There you go. Right.
By utilizing the professionals to help eliminate it. But that's how the process started. Once we got it narrowed down to a manageable number of visits, we spent about 90 days going once a week to visit artists. We do about 3 a day, once a week. And we narrowed it down to where we had really 7 major artists in this renovation.
Wow. Now, so how did you use their art? Was it just strategically placed? Did you actually have, you know, carpets and curtains and things to, like, that tied into the artwork themselves? How did that really tie together?
You know, the architect and the decorator kind of gave us a scope of, well, you need so many pieces of this a certain square footage and so many spaces. So for instance, we have 3 inset alcoves in our main dining room that were specifically designed for some type of sculpture piece that's lit, but they were designed without really knowing what was going to go in that space. We did sit down with Ben Owen, who is a very prolific potter in our area. He's in Seagroves, which is just north of here. And we actually hired him to make pieces to fit that space. But there were other areas where the architect would have scoped a large painting, a small painting, or a medium painting, and gave us some dimensional parameters to find. And actually, that became the most difficult part. Is we saw a lot of really great art, but it was either too small, a lot of too small, or maybe it was too large. But most of the time, it was finding something that was large enough and dramatic enough to fit the space. Colors, we really didn't worry about that. It seemed to all work.
Nice.
We didn't find anything, because our color scheme really kind of is North Carolina, so it's blues and greens and browns. All the art seemed to kind of fade right into that, so it worked out really well.
That's perfect. Yeah, it sounds almost like a little Goldilocks thing. Like, this one's too big, this one's too small, this one's just right.
Yeah, sure worked that way. Sure.
What was the members' reaction when they walked into their dining room? And how did you, like, unveil it? What was the process of kind of showing this off to the membership?
Well, we did several things. We did have the normal grand opening that you would have, and everybody who was in town that had a mask came in, and we specifically had volunteers in the committee and board members that we had trained to understand certain pieces. So most grand openings, you know, you've got the menu and they have samples of the food. We did do that, but also we had a very specific tour to walk through that explained each piece of art.
Nice.
That was one thing we did. The other is a wing of their business that extremely talented young man that makes little short videos. And so we did 10 and 7-minute videos on each specific artist. And we did that in partnership with the CVB. They're using them on their website, and we use them to email our members, and they're posted on YouTube. And it helps the members understand the significance of each piece and each artist.
That's fantastic. Basically, you really elevated just a dining experience at a private club, which could be, better than Marriott, but still by, it could be a pedestrian type of evening to something that's really an experience. That's what I really love about that, is that you guys, now you're almost in a museum-like experience.
Yeah. What was amazing was there's one piece. It's the largest piece. It's an oil painting by Carmen Drake. And the day that we purchased the painting, I called her and said, "Carmen, we can't afford it, but we're going to take the painting." And she said, "Well, it's the best day of my career." And I said, "Well,
Wow.
I'm sure you've sold a lot of paintings. Why is this the best day in your career?" And she said, "Art Connoisseur magazine just called me, and I've been named one of the top 5 artists to watch in America." And
Wow.
I was like, I guess, the painting's worth it now.
You might have gotten it cheaply.
It's a really great piece, and she's an amazing talent. But I think in most clubs, that art exists. When I walk through Baltusar or Marion, you look at the paintings and see who signed them. There's some amazing prolific artists, but the members don't really know. They just know it's a pretty place. I think it's a way to explain to your members how special your club is and how you separate yourself from your competitors, because everything is purposeful. If you do that, then your members start to get excited about more than how much a hamburger costs. It's the experience then has value, and you're defending price less.
Right. That's so important. Yeah, I always say that with golf, especially too. You can't judge a membership on how many rounds you divided by your annual dues. That's a really horrible way to sell a membership. It's really got to encompass that full experience for a member for it to really have an impact. I guess it also really helps you tell the story of how your club's interwoven with the local community there in North Carolina. Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, we're very focused on how we fit in Pinehurst and Southern Pines and Aberdeen here. We are the only truly member-owned private club in Pinehurst. There's corporate clubs and investor-owned clubs, but we're the only member-owned club, and I think that causes my members to take a different view of how we fit here. And I think because we're behind a gate, we want to fill any void of information on who lives behind the gate and what kind of people they are with positive images. And this goes a long way to do that.
Yeah, beautiful. What were some of the learning experiences that you had? I know you've got actually one of your hobbies is renovation, like home renovations. I saw you're renovating a couple of homes yourself. What did you actually learn through going through this process with your club, though?
Well, I tell you, construction's construction. I do that for fun. So I don't know why, but I do.
That's an interesting hobby. I
think the surprise of the building was, it was built in 1963, and we didn't find any asbestos, and we didn't find any aluminum wire anywhere, and that was a great surprise. So we stayed on time and on budget with that. But the art project was a learning experience, and I did get to meet people in my community that I normally wouldn't get to meet. And, seeing Ben Owen's pottery studio with these great big kilns and understanding how all of that works and what this art society really is all about here in Moore County was a great experience. And now I've got friends I wouldn't have had before because all my friends are golfers here.
Right. Yeah. Artists are sometimes breed as well. That's really cool. And then how are you continuing to tell that story, Don? Do you have you did those videos, which I think was a fantastic idea, and people can view those on the website, and kind of what's going to be the next phase of all this for you guys?
So my entire staff is trained to understand the art, and so when, let's say, you come as a guest of Mr. Smith, and Mr. Smith brings you into the dining room, my staff is on point to explain paintings and to point out pottery and certain pieces of art and let them know how it was done. And it really is it's great for the member to be able to bring someone here and know that the staff has pride in the facilities that they have funded. So, you know, it's just a good experience all around for them.
What's the next project that you guys are working on? If you're allowed to spill any details.
So we're focused on the ballroom side of our building and our men's locker room. That's probably going to be a $1 to $2 million project. We're working with an architect now to scope that piece out. That'll encompass a museum piece that will house our archives from our many championships here at CCNC. It'll highlight our founders and their story. We've had some pretty historically significant members that founded the club, and so we want to celebrate that in that project. Then after that, we're going to focus on practice facilities, and our goal there is really to create what we hope will be one of the best practice facilities in the country. We're a very golf focused club. Most of our members are golf advocates in many different ways. We have USGA committee members that were involved in the rules of the game. We've got 300 low handicap players here at CCNC. So they're like they're 10 and below. So it really is kind of where we're headed, is to best practice facilities in the country is our next goal.
That's fantastic. Are you looking at maybe putting in some sort of, I see clubs putting in TrackMan and some of these other top golf type experiences. Is that in the works, or is it more just about the actual, the bunkers and things like that there, the grounds?
Well, I've always believed that there should be a direct connection between the hard goods and the range itself. So we're going to be looking at ways to really walk into a facilities that has the hard goods, that's also seamlessly connected to the range. I'm not talking about a separate building. It's like the building is on the range, part of the range, and that's your entrance to the facilities. I like that idea a lot. I think the technology is mandatory, whether it be TrackMan or the other Doppler and radar technologies. I think the expectation is that members are going to expect to have their device, whether it be their cell phone or their iPad or what have you. They want to be able to walk out on that range, hit an app, and see the distance that the ball's going. They want to see spin. They want to see axis, smash factor. All of that is expected. So we're going to be looking for ways over the next year to provide that. We're real excited about it.
Yeah, give them ways to geek out on it. That's the lesson there for sure. Just one more question on this line of thought, Don. How do you guys go about deciding which projects you're going to tackle? Do you guys send out membership surveys? Do you have committees formed specifically to decide what that? Do you have a master plan that you're working through? How do you guys go about through that decision process?
So they had a strategic plan when I arrived, which was 2 years ago. And that strategic plan had one fatal flaw, and that was it didn't really explain why we do certain things. And so I spent the first with my strategic planning committee to focus on the whys so that we can make sure that our project plan fit all of those aspects. Now that we have that narrowed down, it did eliminate some projects and it added some projects. We generally run 15 years out on thought process. The club has always done that. I think it's a little more purposeful than it was before, based on the whys. I'm a big Simon Sinek fan. If you haven't seen that video, it's on TED Talks. It's really great. Once we identify why we're doing certain things, the argument about whether or not we should do them goes away, and really the impetus to fund those things becomes much faster. I think we're probably pushing 10 years worth of projects in a 6-year period here.
Wow.
And the membership is behind it 100%. And actually our growth as a club is a direct result, which was never in any of my funding plans. It was always based on static growth. But we're up 130 members right now from where we were 2 years ago. And so it's an amazing change.
That's fantastic. And what a great point you made there. I hope folks were listening there in terms of, the fatal flaw you had in your strategic plan, which you didn't have the why. I think that is so important because it really does help you decide what you're gonna start with and what you're gonna end with and where you're trying to accomplish as a club. What out of curiosity, what is the why of the Country Club of North Carolina?
So we want to be one of the best amateur golf experiences, amateur club experiences in the Carolinas. So that is certain rough heights, that is certain green speeds on a daily basis. It explains the spend on golf course maintenance. But to be one of the best experiences, that also explains why certain assets need to be taken care of and protected as well. So like restaurant facilities have to be, they have to be at a top level. I mean, in our region, Augusta National is a 5-hour drive from here. So if we're going to say, hey, we're the best, boy, that's a pretty hard bar. So we said Carolinas, we cut Georgia out. So James a chance,
Yeah, right.
We're really focused on those things, and it explains to our members why, if they don't use a particular asset in the club, why it still has to be maintained at a certain level.
Sure. That makes total sense. Don, I enjoyed this immensely, sir. If folks want to just find out more about what you guys are doing at the club, maybe view some of those videos, what's your website for folks just check it out?
So we're ccofnc.com. And if anybody has any questions, they're welcome to email me. My link is in the CMAA website. Happy to answer any questions and help any young managers that are going through their first renovation.
Yeah, I bet it can be a daunting task when it's your first time, for sure. Sir, I enjoyed it immensely. Thank you so much for joining us here on Private Club Radio Live.
Thank you. It's been an honor.